Rob, welcome to People and Legal.
Thanks, David. Good to meet
Yeah, no, fantastic. Now, we had a really interesting chat just a moment ago.
you.
We're talking about money laundering. You guys have got anti-money laundering software?
We do anti-money laundering software, aggregating start to finish in the workflow to make it simple.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Didn't start off by doing the intro, so do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Rob Lynch, the CRO of Spinika. Been in the role about 18 months.
Awesome.
Based out of Wellington. Company's based out of Christchurch.
Yeah, wonderful.
Up and running. I'm looking at Duncan over here about 4 years in total in New Zealand, and really pushing into Australia in a big way now at the moment.
Yeah.
Passed their legislation, so that market's changing at pace. And it feels good, actually, to be part of this. Maybe go into a little bit more detail about why it feels good in a minute, as opposed to...
Definitely.
I kind of say this, I always bring it back to, for 20 years I'm in IT, and when people ask you what you do, it's quite boring. I'm in IT. Let's just move on and talk about the football or where you're from or whatnot. Whereas now, you tell people you're an anti-money laundering software, it sounds just as boring. And you go, well, hang on a second. Yeah, it's compliance. But the reality is, money laundering, illicit funds are sourced from three things typically: drugs, guns, or humans. Human trafficking. When you boil it down to that level, and you boil it down to some of the fines that are being handed out, and they look harsh for, well, you didn't keep up with your compliance. The reality is you're not being fined for your compliance. You're being fined because you facilitated something horrendous. And as your inability to pick up and police it is the reason that the software exists in the first place, but also the reason you need to have policies, you need to have eyes on this, because it is actually quite a horrendous crime. That manifests in money, but ultimately it's the crime we're trying to stop, and if the funds have nowhere to go, the crimes will actually stop happening. And
exactly.
That's where it feels good.
That's nice. It's actually, it's a social good. It really is a social good.
It is. And, then you find yourself boring the other person at the bar on a Friday night or at a barbecue because I want to tell you more about it. It's actually, it is a really good thing to be involved.
It is. No, it's actually doing great things. So how long have you been in the legal tech compliance area for?
It's only about 18 months. Spent the first 20 odd years largely here in New Zealand in, enterprise sales. Okay. IT, everything you could think of, from procurement through to bid management, RFPs. I'm based in Wellington, so a lot of time in government. I think as it happens to a lot of people, kind of early to mid 40s, you think, I could keep going this way. Yeah. Or I could try to find something with a bit more fun, maybe. Yeah. Kind of, this is what brought me to that. Dabbling in a few startups and, eventually kind of won't.
I mean, AML is really big. It's a really, really big topic on everyone's lips.
It is. And it's been heartening to see it bed in New Zealand and evolve in New Zealand and see, not only are we doing the bare minimum, we're now evolving over the generations of the past 6-7 years. And I tell you what's really interesting, David, is they've pretty much just hit the start gun in Aussie. Yep. And, I've said to them over there, because you initially go, you went 12 months ago and there was a level of, it won't happen. Yeah. It won't happen. And it's not, you see the legislation being debated in Parliament and you think, well, there's your black and white. But I tell you what, the canary down the mine is the people that aren't cynical and do see it coming are headhunting Kiwi talent. Yeah. And you're seeing a lot of people that throw their AML in New Zealand, have learned the lessons in New Zealand, being headhunted into big firms in Sydney, and given a huge remit to go, better. Yeah. It's real. It's real then, right? So the legislation can pass, but the softer one is you need people, and people are being hit.
And how does it work in the firm?
So look, we are in the elite upper end, I guess, of the market. We're trying to simplify for complexity. So you need the complexity. You need, I guess, sunken investment in technology as it stands. We have, oddly enough, a bit of a technical laggard myself in terms of prove to me it means it's going to improve my day, as opposed to it's a fad. And don't have a great example of that, but I was probably one of the final people to adopt an iPhone, these kind of things. It's like, you try it first, and once the masses have it, I'm on board. But I want to see the business benefit of it, not a tool for the sake of a tool. So for that reason, I know a lot of lawyers have the same mindset. With all due respect to the technology, it's not the center of my universe. The client and advising the client is the center of my universe. Yep. And quite frankly, AML is going to be a hassle to me. It's going to distract me from my job. Yep. You have to do it. Yep. There is no compromise here. By all means, focus on your client. But when you look at how Kiwi firms started doing it first day, very manual. Then a few tools got thrown in.
Yep.
but they weren't integrated. Start throwing people at it,
Yep.
and it got expensive.
Yeah.
It was a distraction. What we've done is we've come in over the top going, we can take your tools, be it your biometrics, your PMS, your DMS.
Yep.
We can look at the legislation. We can bring the modules you don't have and plug the gaps for you.
Oh, no.
But it's all streamlined. You go one place, you go Spinika, and then we integrate with all those third parties in the back end. So there's your sunken technical investment is not wasted, and there's no regrettable spend there. It's streamlined.
Yep.
It's configured to your processes, and this is why we go upper end of the market is you have ways of working. Your lawyers have ways of working. They may have familiarity with a couple of tools. Let's keep using them because that'll help the user adoption. Doesn't distract them from their client.
Yep.
That's kind of the beauty of Spinika is keep what you have.
Yeah.
We'll bring what you don't have.
Yep.
And as new legislation emerges, we'll also bring that to the mix. And we'll decide and we'll configure it to make it suitable for you.
And you've also got the track record as well, I guess, because you've actually had this all implemented in New Zealand, that you know when things don't go right, what to do and how to actually patch things up and fix things as well.
Yeah, it is. And it's a bit of advising on that.
Yeah.
This can be overwhelming, but we have the scars from New Zealand. And I think this is the beauty of seeing the AML people policy and whatnot come across from NZ is they bring in the policy. We've learned this the hard way. We've done the mistakes. I always say we're the second cab. You know, you need your policy, you need your program, you need your risk profile. We can improve it. We can make it efficient, but you need to appoint your risk appetite. And it kind of comes back to that, David, of there's some industries like the real estate and the cryptos that may not have the same level of risk appetite, but that reputational damage, similar to the banking fast, it's not anti-money laundering, it's human trafficking.
That's right.
Cannot bear that damage to your reputation.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to bring this in, you know. So that's kind of a learning over here is being, you do need to be compliant. We do not distract from the day-to-day business of doing law. And that's why I'm excited about Spinika. That's why it seems to resonate. But at the same time, the example I always give is, if you can do your conflict check by sending an email around to 4 or 5 partners, or you can shout it around the office, anybody know David, if that's enough to do your conflict check, Spinika is probably not a fit. We need to go above that where you have a mass, I guess, and you have complexity, you have sunken investment, and we can simplify that. That's the sweet spot for us.
So really what you're doing is you're actually working with existing investment and actually like putting a platform over the top that actually smashes this whole process and makes it easier, and they can save a whole ton of time.
Correct.
Yeah, brilliant.
And the underpinning platform is a low-code platform, which is our sister company, IBIS. It's all the same board, same owner, same everything. And the configurability, ready access to all the geniuses that run that platform, you know, ISO 27001, so safe as houses. But more importantly, your process change, or you want it slightly different to that guy or a lot different to that guy, we have access, we'll do it. And it's the configuration, not the customization. So we can give you what you want, and it's relatively simple.
I guess for a larger law firm, like what the peace of mind is if they can come and talk to you and say, hey, look, what have you experienced over here and what's happened here?
Yeah.
What have been the tricks and the traps and how have you actually made things work properly? So there's an advisory, as you've sort of mentioned before, there's an advisory part of what you almost do in terms of, so I guess if law firms are looking at this, they might go, well, tell us about what you've experienced.
Yeah, and we do get that quite a bit in Aussie at the moment, and it's very reasonable to be overwhelmed. And that's still emergent. The legislation is there, but it's in consultation, and there's guidance, there's bits and bobs coming out, but it won't be prescriptive. So people are going, what am I in for here? And what we can advise, and we can go, you know, this is likely the outcome, and et cetera, et cetera. There are specialists out there. You need an AML policy advisor, and they're available, and we can hook you up, and they're agnostic. We'll come in afterwards and then implement it, but you do need to start with the policy. And there's brilliant tools out there. You know, this may or may not play out like this, but it won't come in black belt. It'll come in not easy, but it'll come in and it'll ratchet from there. Get yourself to a position where you are defensible. Listen, you know, you can only do what you can do if you. And I've got to be careful what I'm saying because this is obviously I'm not a policy advisor, but give yourself a fighting chance of being compliant, and then we can improve from there, right? So people are looking at it at the moment going, this is terrifying. It just gets started. There are tools and means out there. There are people that can get you started. Come in at a baseline and build from there. That's kind of what we boil it down to. It's but it still is overwhelming. And you see different levels of maturity amongst the people out there. Some people are dead set and already making decisions on tool sets. Some people are, what do the acronyms mean?
Exactly. Exactly. And if people want to find out more about your solution, go to your website.
We have Spinika.com. We're at Lawfest.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
We're in Aussie a lot. We have a strong partnership with Verlata.
Oh, brilliant.
Out of Brisbane, who have people invested on our behalf and shared investments on the ground in Australia.
Yeah, great partner.
A lot. Yeah, brilliant. They're brilliant guys, innovative, punchy, and they see the market needs this.
Yeah.
So that I think, not speaking for them, but they've done their due diligence on us, and I like to think they see the value.
Yeah.
They know their clients, and they're just connecting dots, and it's very useful for us, but it's ultimately a great endorsement from Verlata to have us in the mix.
Rob, really appreciate your time today. Lovely to meet you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.